Here are some facts about me. I have been unsuccessfully married 4 times. I was definitely not a faithful man. Very difficult relationship with my children. I had close relations with the mafia. All facts are truth. Hi, I'm Frank Sinatra, an American singer and actor, celebrated as one of the greatest vocalists of all time and a cultural icon of the 20th century. I am ashamed of some things, and some things almost destroyed me. However, it is an integral part of my life. It proves that famous people have the same problems and life challenges as everyone else. Now all about it in more detail. Section 1, I have been unsuccessfully married 4 times. Ah, you want to know about love, huh? About the times I stood at the altar with a heart full of hope, thinking that this time would be different. Well, let me tell you, darling, love isn't always as pretty as the songs I sing. It's a hell of a thing, a game with no rules, and no matter how many times you play, you end up losing a little bit of yourself. Nancy, she was the first. Nancy Barbado. We met in the late 1930s when I was just a kid from Hoboken with a big dream and no idea how to get there. She saw me before the fame, before the lights, before I became the man they all wanted to know. She believed in me when no one else did. Nancy gave me everything, her love, her trust, her youth. We got married in 1939, and for a while, it felt like we had it all. I was singing in little clubs, making a name for myself, and she was by my side through it all. 12 years we had together. She gave me 3 beautiful kids, Nancy, Frank Jr., and Tina. But with success came temptations, and I wasn't strong enough to resist them. Infidelity, it's a dirty word, but it's a truth I can't escape. By the late 1940s, I was on top of the world, a rising star, but my marriage was crumbling. Affairs, arguments, the constant pressure of fame, it all tore us apart. We stayed together for the kids, for the sake of appearances, but eventually, there was nothing left to hold on to. In 1951, we divorced. 12 years, gone. Then came Ava. Ava Gardner. The storm in my life, the fire that burned hotter than I could handle. My second wife, my greatest love, and my greatest loss. She was everything I ever dreamed of, fiery, passionate, untamable. We got married in 1951, just months after my divorce. But with Ava, love was never just love. It was war. She was a Hollywood star, and I was the crooner everyone wanted to see fall. Our relationship was a whirlwind, nights filled with laughter, fights that could shatter glass, and a passion that left us both bruised. She taught me what it means to truly feel, every emotion so raw, so real. But that same passion turned the house into a battlefield. We fought over everything, work, jealousy, trust. Infidelities? Yeah, they happened. On both sides. And they broke us apart, piece by piece. Ava once said, we loved each other, but we couldn't live with each other. And she was right. By 1957, it was over. She moved to Spain, and I tried to move on, but I never stopped loving her. She was the one who got away, the one I could never replace. Then came Mia. Mia Farrow. A young star, full of life and hope. We met in 1964, and by 1966, we were married. She was 21, I was 50. People thought we were crazy, and maybe they were right. Those 2 years, they felt like 2 lifetimes. I was controlling, jealous, and set in my ways. She was free-spirited, unpredictable. I wanted stability, but I didn't know how to create it. I held on too tight, suffocating everything beautiful that she was. And in the end, she was gone. She left to find herself, and I stayed behind, bitter, wondering why I couldn't hold on to her. And then Barbara. Barbara Marx, my fourth. She came into my life in the 1970s, long after I thought I was done with marriage. She was different, a woman with a steadiness I hadn't known before. We married in 1976, and she stayed with me until the end. By the time she came along, I was an old dog, tired from the fight. I was still me, with all my flaws, my baggage, my broken promises, but she was the one who could stand beside me without asking too much. Barbara didn't try to change me. She accepted me for who I was, and maybe that's why it worked. Yet even then, even after all the mistakes I'd made, love wasn't simple. It never was. And I wonder if I ever truly knew how to love her, or if I was just trying to fill the holes left by all the others. For marriages. For chances to be something better. But each time, I fell short. I was a man who sang of love, who lived for it on stage, but when the curtain came down, I couldn't keep it together behind the scenes. I couldn't stay the man I promised to be. Now I'm older, reflecting on the wreckage, and all I can say is this: if I could go back, I'd change some things. I'd be kinder. I'd be more patient. I'd listen more. But there are some things you just can't undo, no matter how hard you try. Love's a hell of a thing, kid. You can't control it. You can't fix it. You just have to hope that maybe, someday, it'll find you again. But maybe, just maybe, I'll write a song about it. That's all I can do now, huh? Sing my heart out, even if it's broken. Section 2, I was definitely not a faithful man. Ah, you want to hear the truth, huh? The real story behind all the songs, the lights, the suits, the glamour. Well, let me tell you, kid, there's a side to this game that never gets played in front of a crowd. You know that famous line, "I did it my way." Hell, I've lived it, breathed it. I made my choices, but when it comes to women, I did it their way. And believe me, that's a dangerous game. You can sing all the ballads you want, but when it comes down to it, a man like me, yeah, I had a weakness. A temptation. A hunger. And I didn't just want to feed it, I devoured it. The truth is, I loved them all. No, scratch that, I loved the idea of love. The thrill of it. The chase. And when I found someone, well, the rest of the world disappeared. But what I didn't see was that those women, they weren't just some lines in a song. They were people. Real, breathing people. And I was a fool who couldn't see beyond my own reflection. Take Nancy Barbato, my first wife. She was my rock, the one who believed in me when I was just another kid from Hoboken with big dreams and no plan. We married in 1939, before the fame, before the chaos. She gave me 3 kids, Nancy, Frank Jr., and Tina. She stayed by my side through the early days, when I was trying to make a name for myself, singing in dives and dreaming of the big time. But fame changes a man, or maybe it just reveals who he really is. By the late 1940s, I was at the top of the world, a star with everything I'd ever wanted. But instead of holding on to what mattered, I let it slip away. Affairs, ego, the constant pull of the spotlight, it all took its toll. Nancy deserved better, but I couldn't give it to her. We divorced in 1951 after 12 years of marriage. Then came Ava. Ava Gardner. She was fire. She was everything. The way she looked at me, the way she saw me, no one else ever had that kind of power over me. She was the most beautiful woman in the world, and I was the man lucky enough to call her mine. But, damn, we were like two stars in a storm. We collided, exploded, and left nothing but wreckage behind. We married in 1951, right after my divorce from Nancy. It was a whirlwind romance, passionate, volatile, and doomed from the start. Ava had her own demons, and I had mine. Together, we were a disaster waiting to happen. I loved her, but I wasn't faithful. I was too busy chasing the high of being Frank Sinatra, the attention, the adoration, the women who threw themselves at me. Ava was fiery and independent, she wouldn't stand for it. By 1957, it was over. She left for Spain, and I tried to move on, but I never really did. Ava was the love of my life, and losing her broke something inside me. After Ava, there was Mia Farrow. Mia was young, free-spirited, and full of life. We married in 1966, despite the 30-year age gap. People called it a scandal, said it would never last. And they were right, it didn't. We were too different. She was looking for freedom, and I was looking for stability. I tried to control her, to mold her into what I thought a wife should be. But Mia wasn't one to be controlled. She walked away after 2 years, and I was left wondering why I couldn't make it work. Finally, there was Barbara Marx, my fourth wife. By the time Barbara came along, I was tired. Tired of the fights, the scandals, the heartbreak. Barbara was steady, grounded, everything I needed at that point in my life. We married in 1976, and she stayed with me until the end. But even then, even with someone as patient and understanding as Barbara, I couldn't escape my flaws. For marriages. For women who gave me their hearts, and 4 times I let them down. I was a man who sang about love, who made a career out of it, but I didn't know a damn thing about how to keep it alive. Looking back now, I see the pattern. I loved the idea of love, but I didn't know how to live it. I was selfish, stubborn, and blind to the damage I was causing. I thought I could fill the emptiness inside with fame, women, and applause, but none of it worked. Every affair, every broken promise, they weren't just mistakes, they were failures. Failures to be the man I should have been, to the women who stood by me, hoping I'd change. Now, the lights are dimmer, the applause quieter. I'm left with memories, some good, some painful, and the knowledge that I can't go back. If I could, I'd be kinder. I'd listen more. I'd put their needs above my own, just once. But life doesn't give you do-overs, kid. All you can do is sing your songs and hope they tell the truth you couldn't say in words. So, yeah, I did it my way. But if you listen closely to the songs, you'll hear the cracks, the pain, the longing for something more. Maybe I was trying to tell the world what I couldn't admit to myself. Or maybe I was just another man who didn't know how to love until it was too late. And that's the truth. Not the glamour, not the headlines, but the real story of a man who had it all and still managed to lose the most important things. Maybe I'll write one last song about it someday. Until then, I'll sit here with my memories and a glass of Jack, wondering what might have been. Section 3. Why is my relationship with my children so strained? Ah, you want to know about family, huh? The family that doesn't make the papers, that doesn't get a song written about them. You want to know about the things that didn't come out in the spotlight, the shadows that stayed tucked behind the curtains of my life. Well, then sit tight, kid. This ain't the story you hear in the ballads. Nancy, my daughter. She was a little girl when I was a giant in the world. You think I didn't notice? The lights, the fame, the noise, it was all there, and somewhere in the midst of it, there was her, just a kid, waiting for me to come home. But I wasn't home, was I? Hell no. I was off singing to the world, chasing whatever love came my way, leaving behind the one I should have been there for. You think you can have it all, be the man the world wants you to be and still keep your family intact. That's a lie. A lie I told myself every damn day. I sang the songs, I hit the high notes, but the truth was in the silence at the dinner table. The empty chair where my daughter should have seen me, the father, instead of some shadow, some ghost. Nancy, she never needed my fame, kid. No, she didn't care about the velvet ropes or the stage lights. She needed me to be there, to be present. And I was too damn busy with everything else, my own selfishness, my pursuits, my own damn ego to see that I was losing her. She wanted me to come home. But I kept saying just one more night, and one more turned into 1,000. So, yeah, you could say it was strained. Not for lack of love, no, I loved her with everything I had, but I never knew how to give her the part of me that mattered most. The part that didn't run off every time the lights flickered. The truth? I couldn't balance it. I couldn't juggle the woman I loved, the woman I chased, and the one that I left behind to fight her own battles. And I couldn't be the father I promised I'd be, no matter how much I wished it. There were songs I'd sing, but there was no melody that could fix that broken relationship, no smooth jazz to make it all better. Hell, it wasn't just Nancy. My kids, they were all part of the story, weren't they? But somewhere along the way, my damn career always took precedence. They grew up watching me from afar, like I was some distant star. And that's what it was, wasn't it? I was a star, but at what cost? Sometimes, I wonder, if I'd put down the microphone, if I'd walked off that stage just for a little while, could I have been a better father? Could I have fixed the things that were slipping away, piece by piece, under my nose? If I'd loved them as much as I loved my damn image, would we have been different? Would I have been different? You see, this world, the world of fame, of music, of endless nights and women, it sucks you in, kid. It makes you believe that the applause is what matters, that the money, the accolades, the luxuries, that they make you whole. But they don't. Not really. Because when you look around and the crowd is gone, all you have left is the silence and the people who should have mattered most. And that's the tragedy. The thing that no one writes songs about. The heartbreak you don't see on the records. The people you can't ever quite get back, no matter how hard you try. So, what's left for me to say? I can't change what happened, I can't rewrite the past. But I can tell you this, kid, the ones who loved me the most, they didn't need my songs or my fame. They just needed me to show up. To stop running and be the damn man I was supposed to be. But I didn't, and they paid for it. And I'm left here, sitting in the quiet, wondering, if I could have been the father my daughter needed, what would have been different? But that's the way it goes, doesn't it? You live your life, thinking you can have it all, but the one thing that slips through your fingers is the one thing that really matters. Family. And the ones you love. Section 4, I had close relations with the mafia. You know, kid, there are rumors that follow a man, like smoke in the air, no matter how hard you try to shake them off. You want to know about me and the mafia? About those ties I had? About the company I kept? Yeah, you know the whispers, the ones that cut through the velvet and lace like a hot knife through butter. It's funny, really. People love to talk about a guy when he's at the top of his game, don't they? When the lights are shining bright, and everyone's singing your name. But when the shadows come calling, when the whispers get louder than the applause, suddenly, you're no longer the crooner. You're the connected man. There were times, plenty of them, when I was just a guy, looking to get ahead, trying to make it in this cruel, crazy world of music and showbiz. You think Hollywood's a fairy tale, right? But let me tell you something, kid, this town is built on deals, on favors, on the real power that works in the backrooms. You see, I wasn't born into privilege. I was born in Hoboken, New Jersey, to a working-class Italian family. My dad was a boxer-turned-bartender, and my mom, Dolly, was as tough as nails. She worked as a midwife and had a strong influence in local politics. Growing up, I saw firsthand how connections could make or break a man. When I started out singing in the clubs in the 1930s and 40s, it wasn't about glitz and glamour, it was about survival. The music business was rough, competitive, and cutthroat. If you wanted to make it, you needed the right people behind you. And sometimes, the right people weren't the cleanest. Now, let's get this straight, the mafia didn't make Frank Sinatra. My talent, my voice, and my drive did that. But yeah, I had ties. Everybody did back then, especially in the entertainment business. You think Las Vegas became the entertainment capital of the world because of clean money? Hell no. The mob ran that town, and if you wanted to play there, you worked with them. Take the Sands Hotel, for example. I was a regular there in the 1950s and 60s, headlining shows with the Rat Pack, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop. The Sands was owned by Jack Intrater, who had connections to mob figures like Meyer Lansky. Everybody knew it, but nobody said it out loud. We were entertainers, not gangsters. Sure, I was friendly with guys like Sam Giancana, the Chicago mob boss. He'd come to my shows, and we'd shake hands. Why? Because in this business, you don't turn your back on someone like that. You keep things cordial, respectful. Did I ever do business with him? No. Did I ever get involved in the dirty stuff? Absolutely not. But the press didn't care about that distinction. They saw the photos, heard the rumors, and ran with it. The FBI kept a file on me for years, over 2,000 pages of surveillance, reports, and allegations. They thought I was some kind of go-between for the mob and politicians, especially during the Kennedy era. They even accused me of introducing JFK to Giancana. Let me tell you something, kid, that's a load of crap. Sure, I helped the Kennedy campaign in 1960. I hosted fundraisers, rallied Hollywood support, and even let them use my Palm Springs home as a base. But linking me to political deals with the mob? That's pure fiction. Heck, I paid the price for those rumors. After JFK got elected, Bobby Kennedy, who was Attorney General at the time, pushed his brother to distance himself from me. That's why Frank Sinatra, the guy who sang for presidents and kings, suddenly found himself on the outside looking in. And let's not forget the press. They loved to paint me as the mob singer, the guy who owed his career to organized crime. Never mind the decades of hard work, the endless nights on stage, or the fact that I built my empire with my own two hands. You want to know the truth? Those ties, the connections, they've been a curse just as much as a blessing. I made my name in this business, but they made me a target. I didn't ask for it. I didn't walk into this life with the idea that one day the press would be lining up at my door, asking me about my associates, the kind of men who like to stay in the shadows, men whose names don't get sung about but whose power runs deeper than anyone knows. I tried to distance myself. Believe me, I tried. But it's not easy when the press won't let you forget, when they see a headline in every step you take. Sinatra, the singer who sang for the mob. They didn't want to hear that I was just a guy trying to sing his way out of the gutter. They didn't want to hear that I worked my ass off for every ounce of success I got. There's no perfect story, kid. No clean tale to tell. I was a product of my time. A man of ambition. You think I didn't know what the hell was going on? You think I didn't know who I was seen with, who was shaking my hand behind closed doors? I knew. And I used it. But you know what? I paid for it, too. I paid with my reputation, with my name. So here we are, and here I am, telling you my truth. It's not the whole truth, but it's my truth. And in the end, maybe that's all we can do, tell our truth and let the world believe what they want. They can call me anything they want, kid. I've heard it all before. But don't forget who put the music on the map. Don't forget who made this town what it is. And if you can't remember that, then maybe it's time to stop listening.